The professor was lecturing when he received a phone call, but as soon as he stepped out of the classroom, he heard a desperate sound coming from inside. He immediately went to the door and looked in. He discovered that the classroom had suddenly turned chaotic. A student was frantically attacking another student. "Help me! Help me!" The professor suddenly felt something was wrong, so he immediately ran out of the classroom, but unexpectedly, as he went down the stairs, he was chased and knocked down by a crazed student from behind. The professor was also bitten and gradually lost his sanity. As soon as he got home, he attacked his wife. Even their 2.5-year-old child wasn't spared. People quickly realized this was a new strain of rabies virus. Those who are bitten have just 90 short seconds before they turn into violent, bloodthirsty zombies, because the virus spreads so quickly. In less than 2 years, it had spread worldwide. To escape the zombie attacks, the few lucky survivors had to hide under military protection, living in dark underground fortresses. If they want to return to the zombie-infested surface again, the only way is to find Patient Zero, who is also the first person to carry the virus. This way, we can use his antibodies to create a cure for the zombie virus. Therefore, a specialized research team has been established, and Steven is one of them. During the outbreak, he and his wife were also attacked by zombies. His wife was completely transformed, but he didn't undergo any changes because he had antibodies. Because of that, he became stronger, and he mastered the language to communicate with zombies. This was very helpful in searching for Patient Zero to get clues from the zombies' mouths. The base would often take the risk of capturing zombies to provide Steven for interrogation. While he was interrogating them, Steven also discovered a deadly weakness of zombies. Because zombie brains can't process music, as soon as they hear music, they become extremely painful. So before every interrogation, Steven would use music to make the zombies cooperate more honestly. But unfortunately, after a long period of interrogation, the whole team couldn't get any clues about Patient Zero from the mouths of zombies. And since capturing zombies often led to losing teammates, the colonel had been frustrated for a long time. Sometimes, he even took out his anger on the zombies, but they still didn't get anything, and they used the antibodies from Steven to create an antiviral serum. Although this serum doesn't completely cure zombies, it can reduce the amount of the virus in their bodies. It even slows down the infection rate and aggression. The only drawback is the short duration. When Jesse used the serum on the mutated rat, it only remained stable for less than 5 minutes. But even though the serum's effectiveness isn't great, each time a new batch is produced, Steven also took it to inject his wife, hoping she could return to her human form. At the same time, for Patient Zero, the research team also didn't give up searching. But that day, due to a soldier's mistake, a zombie managed to escape. Seeing the soldier in danger, the chubby guy on the research team didn't hesitate to rush in to stop it. But he wasn't careful and got bitten on the arm by a zombie. Steven and the colonel quickly pulled him away. Then they rushed him into the operating room for emergency treatment. It was too late for anesthesia. Jesse decisively amputated the bitten arm on the spot. The entire process didn't exceed the transformation time. After 90 seconds, the fat guy showed no signs of transformation. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief, but they hadn't been happy for long when the fat guy started convulsing. Next, he gradually lost consciousness. This is an early sign of turning into a zombie. Seeing this, the colonel immediately ordered him to be tied up. Although the wound treatment took less than 90 seconds, the fat guy's condition just now proved that he was infected with the virus. Jesse still doesn't want to give up and continues with the resuscitation. Unexpectedly, the next moment, the big guy started to transform, and immediately, he sat up. The colonel decisively pulled the trigger at the big guy. The clue to Patient Zero still hasn't been found, and now, as the researchers are paying with their lives, the whole team is gradually losing the will to continue the search. But the mission must go on. In the next interrogation, Steven discovered that the first 2 bitten zombies had both mutated from the same location, so Jesse guessed that this place is highly likely the outbreak's origin, and Patient Zero must also be there. She suggested that the general expand the search around the area. After hearing this, the colonel firmly refused. "I don't want to risk soldiers' lives." But Jesse said this is the only option we have now, and humanity is running out of time, because the zombies are also evolving. They're not just getting smarter, their collective consciousness is also growing stronger. Even though this base is hidden, it's only a matter of time before we're discovered. The general, after hearing this, was a bit worried, so he agreed to their suggestion, and ordered the colonel to immediately begin tracking. However, if no incident occurs, then an accident is about to happen. Many soldiers have unfortunately had to sacrifice while on duty. Just as they were handling the bodies, they didn't realize that a zombie had disguised itself as a corpse and infiltrated the base. Then a soldier was bitten right on the spot. The surprise attack left everyone unprepared. They immediately lost many comrades. The colonel reacted quickly and grabbed his pistol, to counterattack. Unexpectedly, a transformed comrade pushed him down on the spot. He fired a shot to send his comrade off. Then a bald zombie suddenly appeared and pinned him down to the ground. Fortunately, Stephen arrived just in time to take him down during the dangerous moment. The colonel, enraged, wanted to end it with a bullet, but Stephen stopped him because the bald-headed zombie seemed to have something to say. This bald zombie was the first professor to be transformed. Compared to other zombies, this bald zombie was clearly very calm. Not only was he unaffected by the music, he even wanted to smoke a cigarette. Before Stephen could even start the interrogation, the man had already revealed everything he knew and said that he came this time specifically to meet Stephen. He had heard long ago from other infected people that there was a person who could understand the language of zombies, and also knew that Stephen's blood had antibodies, which explained why he wasn't affected by the music. It's because the behavior of each individual is different, and you can't just say all zombies are the same. Just like humans have different likes and dislikes, he even feels that zombies are a higher species evolved from humans. Humans can hunt livestock for food, so zombies can also kill humans to survive. Stephen was at a loss for words and could only change the subject to patient zero, but the bald man said this person doesn't exist at all. He said this virus stems from the anger within every person. It has existed inside the human body from the beginning, and the extreme pressure of modern life has awakened it. In other words, anyone could be patient zero. At this moment, Stephen suddenly felt something off about the bald man. It was clear he was intentionally stalling for time. He talked for a long time without addressing the main issue. He's just spouting nonsense. He immediately called Jesse to bring the detector and started scanning the bald guy's entire body. After several scans, there was no tracking device detected, but Stephen's gut told him the bald guy definitely had issues. So he went back to the prison where the zombie was held. Just like the bald zombie, some of the zombies interrogated recently all came from the same place. They are definitely getting caught on purpose. They want to use this method to find human shelters. However, as soon as Stephen asked the supervisor to open the cage, the zombies chose to end their own lives. Until the cage was opened, it had already gone to meet its maker. But from the zombie's body, Stephen successfully found the tracking device. Seeing that the base was no longer safe, he immediately reported the situation to the general. Clearly, the zombies were no longer mindless. They had evolved to an unimaginable level, but while everyone was discussing countermeasures, they didn't know that the zombies had already infiltrated the base. They started attacking the civilians and headed to the control room, releasing all the zombies that were locked up. At that moment, a patrol officer was suddenly bitten. Zombies began to appear en masse. The base immediately fell into chaos. Everyone started running frantically. The sudden attack left the general powerless. The zombies ahead possess both intelligence and formidable strength. The soldiers have suffered heavy casualties, and those who are bitten will undergo a transformation. After 90 seconds, they will react and begin attacking humans. Witnessing the zombie ranks growing stronger, Stephen tells Jesse to quickly head to the top of the base, while he goes to save his wife. As the zombie army invades the base, some soldiers could only fight while retreating, but moments later, they were devoured by the pursuing zombies. When the zombies broke into the meeting room and attacked the highest point of the base, Jesse and the colonel had no choice but to flee. They prepared to escape through the elevator. The general followed behind, trying to get into the elevator too, but the colonel shot him in the leg. Taking advantage of the moment when the general was falling, the colonel immediately closed the elevator door. Both helplessly watched as the general was torn apart on the spot by the zombies chasing him. Facing Jesse's criticism, the colonel showed no remorse. He even said it was to ensure both of their safety. While Jesse expressed understanding, he also approached the colonel, who was taking a sip of liquor. Then he snatched the gun from his opponent's waist. Meanwhile, pressed the elevator down. It turns out Jesse didn't want to leave like that, but intended to return to take his research results. The colonel immediately refused and said that doing so was too dangerous. Then tried to snatch the gun from Jesse's hand, but unexpectedly, Jesse pulled the trigger. At this moment, the entire base had fallen. The civilians who couldn't fight could only become helpless lambs to the slaughter. When Stephen arrived at the prison, he found that his wife hadn't left. It seems the serum had worked. The two of them had just stepped out when they ran into Jesse, who was returning to the lab. Seeing the woman behind Stephen, Jesse was worried that the other person might transform, so she wanted to shoot her. Stephen explained that the serum had already taken effect, and said that if his wife couldn't leave, then he would stay here as well. Seeing Stephen's firm attitude, she had no choice but to agree. At that moment, a zombie suddenly jumped out. Luckily, Jesse reacted in time. They cleared out the D directory to fix it. Then the three of them went to the lab. After clearing out the zombies, they successfully retrieved the experiment results, but as they were about to leave, they discovered the outside was filled with zombies. Returning to their original path was nearly impossible. Luckily, Jesse knew another way out. It was the base's ventilation duct. and they could climb up from there. They could even climb to the tallest building. But as they were crawling through a horizontal pipe, an accident occurred because the wire couldn't support their weight. The zombies quickly discovered them and started chasing. Right at that moment, a few zombies made their way to the interrogation room. The bald-headed mastermind behind them also revealed himself. The three who just came through the ventilation shaft to the top floor were blocked by the bald guy. It turns out the reason he spent so much time attacking this base was mainly to deal with Steven, because the serum in his body is the biggest threat to the zombie army. For the infected, Steven is patient zero, and he absolutely won't allow such a threat to exist. As soon as he finished speaking, the bald man attacked Steven. His wife, seeing this, quickly rushed to help. Although she also has the zombie virus, the bald man is stronger. Even when 3 people took turns attacking, they still weren't a match for him. After a few rounds, they were all knocked down on the spot. But villains often die from talking too much. Steven seized the right moment, choosing to end it with his opponent. A sharp iron rod pierced through both of them. Steven endured the pain to break free. The bald guy who got stuck could only scream loudly to attract the zombies outside to come here. Seeing this, the 3 quickly left to buy time for the other 2 to escape. Steven's wife chose to stay behind to hold off the zombies. It turns out she had already discovered these 2 were having a baby. While Steven wasn't paying attention, she firmly shut the steel door. Tears unconsciously streamed down her face. Clearly, the serum didn't just have an effect, it also gradually restored her human emotions. But it was all too late. Amid Steven's desperate screams, the wife decisively charged towards the oncoming zombies. And finally, the 2 reached the surface. Then ride the motorcycle and get out of here, and continue living a new life.